got my very own tars. Look at this guy.
So when you were inside and all of a sudden your wife says, Kevin, you need to come inside and do the dishes.
Right.
And because your sphere is already on a hill, you're just going to pull this pin and you're going to drop and roll away. Off you go.
This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legend. Raid Shadow Legends has taken over and gaming will never be the same again. Raid is the first game to bring a true console level experience to your phone. With hundreds of artifacts to equip and over 600 champions blessed with unique skills, you can build your team, develop your champions, and raid your way. Even after establishing itself as the leading mobile and PC game, it doesn't even rest on its laurels. Just check out some of the amazing things that have happened in the game in the last 3 years. An amazing addition to the game is the Doom Tower. This game mode introduces a whole world of new and terrifying bosses to slay. Sprawling over 120 levels, the Doom Tower brought exciting new challenges for seasoned players. And if adding new characters wasn't enough, last year raided a whole new faction. The Shadow King, tribe of warriors from the Far East, recently liberated from the reign of evil, but that doesn't mean they're the good guys either. For me, they're one of the coolest looking factions in the game. You can either be the casual player that plays periodically, or you can just dive in and play for hours on end. I invite you all to join the party. Download Raid Shadow Legends from the link below. But wait, here's the big news. Raid has just released the legendary, super-powered version of everybody's favorite champion, Death Knight. And Ultimate Death Knight is everything we've ever hoped for. He's poised, he's powerful, and he's perfect. And the best part is, everybody can get him. All you have to do is log into Raid and play for the next 7 days between now and October 27th. And you'll add Ultimate Death Knight to your collection. Easy. But there's more. You can use promo code DKRises and instantly level up your new champion to level 50. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description below, or click on this QR code and instantly get unique bonuses worth up to $30. We're talking a free epic champion Tyrell, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you right here. So what are you guys waiting for? Click the link in the description below and get yourself Raid Shadow Legend today. And what do you know? Maybe we'll battle together. Well, good morning, guys. Today we're in the shop because we're starting a brand new project and I'm pretty excited about it.
Too far.
It involves welding, it involves metal, it involves steel. It's all stuff I don't usually work with, but I want to. I feel the need to. So we're gonna introduce our star of the show today. He's just rolling in here. And you're thinking, what the heck am I gonna do with this thing? You gonna stay there? This is a wire spool. Now, there would be a giant black pipe conduit thing on this thing, and they use it to run, I think, fiber optics in it. And anyways, the company that, I guess you put a deposit down on these things and you return them at the end of your project and you get your money back. But as it turns out, this company no longer exists, so I have a bunch of these things, and I was asked if I wanted them, and I was like, yes, I do, because they're really cool. And they're like, what are you gonna do with them? I'm like, I don't know. So I've come up with an idea now, and I want you guys to join me on my adventure in welding. It's tall, it's very, very tall. And my plan is to suspend it somehow and make something really cool. But first I have to take them apart and make them into a giant hula hoop. So let's get started. After taking the rings and cutting the spokes out, I had Don with his trusty grinder. What'd you use? Used a trusty grinder. That's right. It's not a flap disc, it's a sanding pad. These actually work way better than a flap disc. I'm sure there's a reason why you use a flap disc and a reason why you use this thing, but this thing takes off a lot of material in a hurry. It's also 36 grit. We took that and we took the remnants of what we cut off with the Sawzall, and we polished it down because it gives us a nice smooth surface to use our rings. So we've got 5 rings because I want to use 4 rings as the center sphere and then take the 5th ring and kind of go around the equator. We'll call it the equator of the sphere in order to kind of tie all our, is that longitudinal lines? Or is it latitudinal lines? The ones that go around the Earth this way. I guess it depends which way the Earth. Longitude. So we're going to tie in our latitudinal lines with our longitudinal lines. Tell that 3 times fast. So we have to take another ring. We have to cut a section the width of the pipe out in order to weld it top and bottom and give us, we're gonna make a hat first, and then we're gonna make a sphere, and then we're gonna tack on more pieces of metal. I figured to give you guys a little bit of a tip if you're trying to find the center of a circle. Now, fortunately, these spool ends already have the center of the circle planned. But if you were trying to find the center of a circle, usually, you just kind of, draw a line from one side to the other and you hope for the best. And you think, hey, hopefully it is in the center of the circle. But there's a potential for failure not finding the center of the circle. So if you take a cylinder or a circle and you put it in a square on a 45-degree angle from the center, having your squares touch, that is the center of that circle. So if you want to find the very middle, you guys get the idea. So everything's touching on all sides, and then the 45-degree line across the middle, that gives you the center of that circle. In order to place my two final ribs, I ended up using a clamp and a spacer plate in order to clamp it in because it was a little sprung. I don't know if it got dented during the course of its life, but I had to force it in place with a C-clamp and a spacer. It's always handy if you're working alone to have some sort of clamping, especially when you're using any kind of do with metal, so you can hold it in place so it's still, and then you can just tack weld it in place and then remove your clamps and then do the finish weld. I learned that from my buddy Dennis while I was watching him actually build the hot tub. He was clamping pretty much everything, but he was also doing a little bit more finicky welding, TIG welding. This is MIG welding, wire feed welding. I'm not the greatest welder, but I try my best. Well, I haven't done a cool tool time in a while, so might as well do one now. This is the Kaiweets line laser level, and it's invaluable whenever you're doing something that's an oddball shape and you need to make it level or plumb, or if you want to hang pictures in your house. This is the Kaiweets laser level. Check them out. I highly recommend them. I've been using them for a while. It's a really bright green line, especially if you're using it during the daylight. What I'm going to use this thing for is actually to make my equator line. So I've got my north pole up top, my south pole down below, and what I'm going to do is attach this to the metal of the building and find my equator, because what I want to do is tack on more steel around the perimeter of my globe in order to add a little bit more structural integrity, a little bit more rigidity, so my longitudinal, latitudinal lines, is it longitudinal? Latitudinal? I make it a, one or the other. I'm making lines and I want them to be level. I want the equator to be perfectly equal or something. Now, let's get this thing set up, and then I can mark all my lines, and then I don't care where the ball goes because I'll already have my lines marked.
In the wheel.
All right, we're moving right along. The other day I got the equator all welded in. That gives me much needed rigidity on the sphere, and today I'm going to be working on a door because I figure, why not make the door out of metal, and then once I get it out into the forest, I don't need to worry about sort of getting hinges attached to steel and all that good stuff. So that's my plan today. It's also kind of like my plan was to be in the forest today, but it is kind of a rain delay working with metal because, well, I guess I'm a metal expert now. No, I'm not. What do you think, Dad?
Yeah, everything's round. I usually am around.
Yeah?
Yeah. The last time I was down here, you tried to put me in the swamp with the round piece.
The tube, it's always around when you're around.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
for sure.
That's a good dad joke. I'll put that in my back pocket. The guys that are just tuning in right now are probably a little bit confused, perhaps, because they think this guy is Don, because he looks like Don. And the reality is, this is Don, but this isn't the other Don. This is Don, my dad. Are you guys following? So there's two Dons that appear on my channel. One is my dad, and the other is my friend, but they're both named Don. So I hope that clears everything up. This is my dad, Don, and the other guy is Don, my friend. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me.
All right, the two Dons, man. In order to make the door on the sphere, I ended up using another one of my rings. I cut out the spokes, and then I took the material from the ring, and then I carefully fit it into the existing slice of the sphere. It was quite difficult because there was compound radius angles, and I managed to fit it up with a bunch of clamps and a bunch of other vice grip things in order to kind of temporarily position it in order to get a weld on it. Kind of the good thing about welding is you can kind of set everything in place before you tack it together. And then I ended up picking up a couple of weldable hinges. As it turns out, they're crazy expensive right now. And I welded it together, and then I tested to make sure it opens and closes. And I'm very pleased with the way that thing fits. This is the largest scale metal fabrication project I've ever undertaken. And it seems to be going really well. So I'm just waiting for the the stuff to start going wrong, which hopefully it doesn't, but you never know.
Okay, you can see the door. Door opens like this, swings, flops down, sits up tight. Just get some weather stripping in that. Got to tack it together, more welds to kind of seam it together, full weld. But I'm pretty happy with the way that door turned out.
I got my very own tars. Look at this guy. Now that I have the main structure of the cabin built, I need to make some sort of a hangar. And to do that, I'm going to actually ask my buddy Dennis, he's a professional welder, to make me sort of like a thing on a helicopter. I think it's called the Jesus pin, and it holds the rotor blades on the helicopter. And they call it that because if that little pin fails, the helicopter goes, and it fails catastrophically. So I'm going to employ an expert in the industry of welding, which is my buddy Dennis. So he's going to do that. I'm going to actually go visit him now. I'm going to bring him some plate steel, and then he's got a solution to have this thing hang in the forest.
Perfect. There's your Jesus pin.
Sweet.
Modern engineering.
Modern engineering. So, Dennis, what did you build for me? What's this thing?
Well,
how did you go about doing this?
So you're gonna demonstrate the pin. So what's gonna happen?
the Jesus pin. So when you were inside and all of a sudden your wife says, Kevin, you need to come inside and do the dishes.
Right.
And because your sphere is already on a hill, you're just going to pull this pin and you're going to drop and roll away. Off you go. When you came to me with this crazy idea about, this sphere, room, ball, what do you call it?
It's a sphere.
A sphere.
Sphere. It's the ball. It's the ball sphere.
All right. So
It's a spaceship, so I can go to my home planet.
oh, well, yeah, it's okay. So you needed a sphere, but you needed something to hang it.
That's right.
Because you want to suspend it in midair via a chain, so that you can also take it apart.
Right.
Right. So
You can pull the pin and roll away.
you can pull the pin and roll away. Man, I really want to see that happen. That would be so awesome. So when you came to me with this crazy idea, I thought about it. It's like, okay, well, if you have a Jesus pin, is that what?
It's a Jesus nut.
A Jesus nut.
A Jesus nut is the nut that holds the helicopter rotor blade on a helicopter.
All right, so I kind of took that and okay, well, you want a pin to just pull out and disengage it in case you want to roll away and real quick getaway.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I love it. You can get that thing going.
Yeah.
And then off you go.
That'd be kind of cool.
So when you drop, bam.
That'd be
That's
right?
gonna be awesome.
Or kind of like that great big giant ball in
The Raiders of the Lost Ark.
that's the one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That would be so cool. Anyway, so you came to me with this crazy idea, and I thought, okay, well, you need a chain. So you went to a store, you got
Princess
a chain.
Auto. Princess Auto chain.
Princess Auto chain. They didn't have like a pin for you, so we just kind of made one up. And so anyway, so you had some discs that you had salvaged. So basically, the only thing you bought was a chain. Everything else we made from salvage.
Because when you're dealing with safety, you don't want a questionable chain. You want one that has a load rating, a working rating,
Right.
and you want to not exceed that.
Right. So I think that you kind of like went overkill on the chain, which is okay. Because, I mean, it's really, you're the one inside this
That's right.
sphere.
Sphere.
And so anyway, so you made this thing and you brought me some parts and I just kind of cut it, bored a hole in one, made a kind of like a slip joint so it can actually spin
That's
for
right.
you.
We're gonna grease it up.
We're going to grease it up, grease the living bejesus out of it. And yeah, let's see what we can do.
It'll spin like the Earth.
Spin like the earth. That
That's
would
right,
be really
'cause I-
cool. You could put like lights on it and then suspend it from
Well,
a
don't
crane.
give it away.
Oh, all right.
All right. Let's. We're gonna get this doohickey, the doohickey thingamabob that we've created, and get it back.
That's our new name, Doohickey Thingamabob.
That's right.
All right, cool.
There should be like a doohickey thingamabob company,
That's right.
limited,
Right, limited.
incorporated.
Sure.
Doohickey thingamabob incorporated.
I got to talk to my wife then.
All right.
She's a corporate lawyer. I don't know.
Let's get this thing hung. In order to create our Jesus nut, we first started with a couple of punch outs from plate steel that I had left over, and Dennis took them and punched about 1.5 inch hole in order to accommodate the chain, and then took another plate and made it exactly the size of a one chain link, so we could then put a pin through that chain in order to hold it in place. We also ended up cutting a 2-inch hole and another disc acting as a slip disc in order to allow our sphere to pivot once it's hanging in the air. Doesn't matter how many times you tell it it's hot, you gotta touch it.
You gotta try.
You gotta touch it. You gotta touch it to see how hot it is.
It's not, it's warm.
It's warm and it's spectry. Still gotta grind that down because it's a fresh weld. I figured we could celebrate this milestone of having the sphere done with a coffee, because this has taken a while. It's probably in your time it's probably been like 10 minutes, and my time it's been a week and a half. Working with steel is slow yet satisfying. I find every piece you add, it's just like it's satisfying. I don't even know how to do it. Is that how you feel, Don? How do you
It's more
feel?
substantial,
It's
right?
more substantial. It's heavy. It's unforgiving. It's a thing. I don't know. This is my first and largest welding project. I'm pretty proud of it. It looks pretty darn cool.
Should be. It's
Doesn't it look cool?
It is.
Speaking
Very
of cool, we have a Dawn sponsor. A company reached out and said, we want to send you some clothes, and they outfitted Dawn with like a whole bunch of gear. You got the hat on? Actually, I have the hat on. It's the link will be in the description down below. And you got the t-shirt,
which is,
like full organic cotton.
yeah, 100% organic.
And you got some pants and a jacket. So you're going to see that a little later on when it gets
And
a
I
little
also got a rucksack.
rucksack. That's cool. So yeah, you'll see it pretty much when it gets cooler out. And I got some stuff too, which is really nice. I almost feel bad wearing it to work in. It's so nice.
Yeah, it is really high quality, nice product.
Yeah, like that's
So
like
thank you to Cool.
yeah, cool. Is it cool or cool? I don't know. It's K, the U with the 2 dots of the AHL. It's
That's
cool.
right.
Now let's get this ball into the forest. Get the ball rolling. Oh man.
You gotta get rid of this tree.
Well, there's something about sitting on the forest floor that's just relaxing. The plan is to clear out somewhat of an area in this pine forest in order to make our teepee, in order to suspend our sphere. And what we're using for those guys is white pine that are standing dead. So my ultimate goal is to rehabilitate this pine forest because it was planted about 40 years ago, and they planted them too close together and it never been thinned. So what I'm doing is actually taking down all of the standing dead trees.
At least I'm trying to. It's been 5 years I've been taking down dead trees and I still haven't got them all. You can see like the bark just kind of sloughs off of the tree. You can see this guy down here. The reality is if you were to cut a live pine tree in this forest, you wouldn't be able to lift it. They are extremely heavy when they are alive, and you could tell that they're dead because of the barks coming off, because there's no pine needles at the top. They have been long dead. We're preventing large-scale catastrophe with forest fires and whatnot. This is a monoculture forest and it needs to be rehabilitated. I haven't yet cut any live trees out of this forest, but the plan is to ultimately cut live trees out to thin this thing out so there's light to the forest floor. It's like late afternoon, there's no sunshine down here. Gotta do some more cutting. What do you think, Don?
Should be a great spot for it.
Come here, say hello. Oh, Ricky. Come here. Don loves peeling logs. Where's your shovel? It's like picking a scab.
The door should come this way, right?
No,
Wow.
this way.
This way. Something on
How cool is that? That's where she's gonna live. In the air. Right there. Can we get this thing in the air, Don? All right, bring you guys up to speed on this little project, the old big teepee erection. We've got 2 long poles, they're about 21 feet long, and we've got them lagged around the 20-foot mark with lag and then double nutted some washers. And then we have a rope, and the rope is attached to above, well, it's not attached, actually it's sitting above our sphere, and then it comes all the way over here and it attaches to the front of the trusty Kubota tractor. Now the plan is to take the tractor, back it up that way, and the A of the TP is going to stand up straight and give us an anchor point for the sphere. That is the plan. I don't know if it's going to work. Slight change of plans. We've added our third leg because I feel it's going to be easier to have it on now than it is to attach it later. But I've only attached it temporarily. I got a ratchet strap around it. So once we stand it up, we can turn it into the crotch area here, and then I'll scurry up a ladder and attach it with a leg and some chain. But we can't, it's really hard to stand up 20-foot poles. Who would have thought?
We've got the teepee up and it is huge. I didn't think it was going to look this big. It is massive, but we got it up there and it's holding strong. I've got 3 legs in it and a couple of structural screws I've put up there to kind of, well, temporarily hold it until I got the chain around it. So I got the chain around the top of the teepee in order to kind of cinch it there. And then what's going to happen is I got the chain hoist at the top, and that's going to allow me to raise the sphere up into the air and then secure it in place with a secondary chain that's going to wrap around top chain, which is going to in turn allow us to suspend in midair. I like the way this thing is hanging. It's in a pretty good spot right now. It may require a little bit more tweaking to get it in its perfect location, but ideally I want to be able to raise and lower this thing to work on it, so this isn't its final destination, because obviously you don't want to work on it above your head if you can lower it down and then do the external cladding. So I've got some pretty cool ideas for the outside of this ball. If you've guys got your own ideas, put them down below. I do read the comments, and I do take them into consideration whenever I'm doing these projects. You know, you can't have all the good ideas. Some of the ideas come from the comments. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you want to continue seeing this build of the sphere, join me on the next one.